Welcome to another edition of Coffee with the Candidates. Nancy Winandy here with Zach Hoover, who is running for the Yankton City Commission this year. Once again, Election Day is April 8th, and we will have 9 candidates running for the City Commission this year. So, Zach, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewing audience?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Zachary Hoover. I've been a Yankton resident for the last 12 years. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I've been married for 18 years to my wife, Tiffany, and we have 3 sons, Braylon, Braxton, and Brennan, who are all enrolled in the Yankton School District, and we've had the pleasure of calling Yankton our home. A little history about myself. I served 7 years in the military as a Air Force Security Forces member. I've done 2 deployments overseas, which included police transition and also as detainee ops while the conflict in Iraq was going on. What brought us to Yankton was the opportunity that the federal prison provided me and my family, and I was gracious enough to be a corrections officer up there, but I was also an education tech in my later years before the VA gave me an opportunity to leave the federal prison and go be an auto mechanic for what I wanted to do. And that's what brought us to Yankton, and I'm happy that we're here.
And you're currently employed up at Sacred Heart Monastery?
Yep, I am currently employed at the Sacred Heart Monastery. I am currently in training to be the next facilities manager up there. So right now my job title is I'm a physical plant and also as a assistant facilities manager.
So what sets you apart from the other candidates that are running for the City Commission?
I think what sets me apart from the other candidates for City Commission is I'm not a person that fits in a box. And by fitting in a box, I'm not constrained by any political party. I'm not constrained by personal interest. I am in it for everybody that wants to make a difference. And making a difference is being able to put yourself out there and making sure that people can actually see you for who you are and not, based off of, like what people perceive you as.
So in your opinion, what is the role of a city commissioner?
I think the role as a city commissioner is being a voice for the people of Yankton. And by being a voice, there's, sometimes there's complaints, but then there's also a lot of good or whatever that comes out of Yankton. And my wife and I, we really, like I said, we've made Yankton our home for the last 12 years. And every single time, we're out in the community, we always run into people we know. And that is what makes Yankton very unique. And being a part of Yankton, I don't want to say it's not for, I don't want to say it's not for the closed-minded individual, but I think a large part of Yankton is, is what makes Yankton unique, and that's the people. So
I would agree with you on that. The city's working on updating the comprehensive plan. Do you have any thoughts on the plan and maybe some things that should be included?
So I've had an opportunity to at least take a little bit of a look at the comprehensive plan. I did see that the comprehensive plan, especially for someone that's just freshly, trying to get in there, the plan is huge. And with that plan being huge, I know that there's people in the right spots that are making the correct calls, especially with a lot of that, taking input from the community, especially, for certain, deficient areas within the town. Some of the simple stuff, like, hey, we need a stop sign here. Hey, we need a speed bump there. And I know one of the big things is what's going to happen with the Meridian Bridge. I know that's been a huge thing. I know the expansion of the library is a huge thing. So, but listening to the comprehensive plan and actually reading, some of the things that are in there, it kind of gives you an idea of where people sit. And then with that comprehensive plan, though, too, is I'm also a firm believer that if there is a area that needs to be addressed, it needs to be addressed all over the city and not just that one area.
So setting the city budget and establishing priorities is an important component of being a city commissioner. How will you navigate this process, and what are some of your budget priorities?
I think as far as the budget is concerned, I honestly, I'm not gonna talk like I know exactly a whole lot like with the budget. But what I am gonna say though is I do think that there are certain priorities that need to be addressed. And as far as those priorities getting addressed, I think it needs to come down to a collective of the citizens and not just a few individuals that make those claims. And that's, comes back to, like why I'm running for city commission, because there is a collective of people that ultimately make the decisions for Yankton, but it's also the collective of people that are in the commissioner spots to go out and get input from the citizens of Yankton.
Yeah, when you talked about the comprehensive plan being a long document, so are all the budget planning
Yes, I
documents.
saw that it was
so-
like 207 pages. So I
Yeah.
was, yeah.
But it's one of those things that they do have a very nice and thorough process. And for people who have not been a part of it, all of those budget meetings are open to the public.
Mhm.
No one usually attends, but just reminding the people that they
Mhm.
are open to the public. So you'd mentioned the Meridian Bridge before, and we both realize it's an iconic and unique asset for Yankton. What process would you propose or support regarding the long-term plans for the bridge, which might include repair, removal, and then how are we going to fund it?
Well, I think as far as the Meridian Bridge, you got to go back to, the rich history of Yankton. Yankton's full of history. First capital of the Dakota Territories, and the Meridian Bridge. As soon as you pull into Yankton, it's one of the highlights you see when you come in. Yankton has done a very good job of setting that up so the citizens can use it. It's also a very popular place for photographers to take pictures. It's also a very popular place, for people to go walk in the summer. It's also a very popular place to just go down there and actually enjoy the scenery that Yankton has to offer. And then as far as, like keeping the Meridian Bridge around, that's what makes Yankton Yankton. And I think as long as the Meridian Bridge is here, I think with me being a city commissioner, that I will try to do everything in my power so we can at least keep that here. As far as the funding goes, that's going to have to go back on. It's going to have to go back to the citizens of Yankton. What are their ideas? What are their inputs? What kind of private donations are we going to accept? Are we going to do this all off of taxpayer dollars? Are we going to, or is it going to be something to where we get a private donation? Or are we going to give it to the state? Stuff like that. I think, again, I think that has to go back to the collective, and it needs to be a group that makes that decision.
So what are your 3 favorite things about Yankton?
My 3 favorite things about Yankton is I love the people, I love the culture, and I love the recreational opportunities that are here. We take advantage of, my family, we take advantage of the camping, we take advantage of the fishing, we take advantage of the boating here in Yankton. Over the last year, I've kind of found myself getting intertwined in the world of golf, and I've taken advantage of a lot of the golf courses in the area. But the people of Yankton is what makes Yankton unique, and being able to go from one side of the city to the other side and seeing people that and always having a smile, that's what makes Yankton special.
So the library has been a topic recently regarding the need for expansion. Share with us your thoughts on the library.
I think the expansion of the library is excellent. When I was growing up, we were always told knowledge is power. Well, where do you go for knowledge? You read it out of a book, you get instructed or you get taught on how that gets done. And where does all the knowledge go? It goes to the library. And so with that perspective, being able to go in there and finding any book that you want, especially depends on the topic, or even just being able to go in there and feeling like you have a safe place. That's growing up, that's what the library was. It was always a place or whatever for people to go, regardless of their background and regardless of where they came from.
So relationships and collaboration are important within the community. What role can you play as a commissioner to help build, maintain, or repair relationships?
I think as far as, like the relationships here in Yankton, It's going out and meeting people. That's the ultimate collective, you know. And early in the interview, I said something about golf. Well, I joined the golf league. Well, the golf league was down in Crofton, and a lot of people from Yankton go down there and play in that. Well, I've met so many people, especially through that collective, and been able to talk to people and, like finding out their backgrounds, find out where they're from, find out what their family does. It's great. I sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is nice to go out and meet the
Yes,
people,
it is.
and the golf course is a great place to be able to make
Yeah,
those connections.
but not only that, but being able to go to, like being able to walk on the bridge and running into certain people and asking them how their day is. Like down in Omaha, you're not going to get that, like where me and my wife are from. You're not going to be able to walk down the street and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" and get a response back. Here in Yankton, you get that. But as far as like the collective of being a commissioner, that's that right there is what makes wanting to be a commissioner, like that. Just being able to go out and ask people their opinion on stuff is by far the best, like the best experience that you can get here. Like even going around or whatever, getting, signatures for those petitions, being able to talk to people, that right there is huge. And, like wasn't even on the ballot, but they were asking me my ideas for what I had for Yankton. And, some of the people I ran into a fellow that lives down the street that, he's been all over the United States. He said he's lived in 13 states, and his last state he lived in, he said he lived in Idaho. And just being able to listen to the different stories and the backgrounds of people, that's bar none is what makes me want to be, a commissioner. And then, being able to get their input so that they have a place that they can call home, such as, like what me and my wife have done.
Yeah, there's a lot of great ideas that come from other communities, because there's no reason for us to create something from scratch if we can replicate something that someone else has already done in another community. But getting people to share those ideas and sharing them with the right person who actually put things into motion is really what we've seen make a difference. And being able to develop new opportunities in the community has just been wonderful with the citizens' input on that. So if you could change something about Yankton today, what would that be?
I would say making sure that everyone's on the same page. I think there's so much misinformation and so many misguidance here in Yankton that a lot of people, you create enemies, you lose friends and stuff like that because everyone's misinformed about a lot of things. And I think that right there, like we need to be able to come together and we need to make, Yankton again. Like Yankton again, it goes back to the culture and the people. You're not going to have a unique community unless you have people that are together in it.
So do you have anything that you want to share with the viewers that was not a part of a previously asked question?
As of right now, I just want to say that, like I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for the people that signed my petition that had, that have faith in what I am doing. But I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, as a commissioner, I always have found myself a voice of reason. I've always been truthful. I don't mince words. I stand up for what's right. And I make sure that, whatever gets said, like hits home with people. Like I heard an interesting saying over the last few days, and it, like it really struck, it stuck with me that I would rather have people not like me for telling the truth than like me for telling a lie. And for some reason that just stuck with me, and I think that's what the people of Yankton are looking for.
I would absolutely agree with you on that. So, Zach Hoover, thank you for joining us here today. Once again, April 8th is Election Day, and early voting starts on Monday, March 24th. So we look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you.
Thank you.